Coming up on episode 73 of Create If Writing, I'm talking about how to deal when people really let you down.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Create If Writing. I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant, and this is the podcast for you. If you're a writer or a blogger or creative, and you want to build an online platform without being smarmy. And I've actually recently had a few people ask me about the word smarmy. They thought I invented it, which I didn't. And I guess one of the urban dictionaries or something talked about it as something that's not what I mean when I say smarmy. So I'm just going to clarify in case you're confused. Smarmy is often associated with that idea of sort of the icky salesperson who uses underhanded tactics and the kind of things that make you feel uncomfortable and want to run in the opposite direction. That's what I mean by smarmy. So if that sounds gross to you too, but you might want to monetize your blog or sell your books, you're in the right place. And I'm glad that you are here and listening. I have some really great interviews on deck for the podcast, but have been having all kinds of things go on so that I haven't actually been able to edit them. So I'm bringing them to you. But tonight I wanted to do a really kind of more brief episode talking about some things that I have experienced and seen other people experience as well, namely when other people let you down. So I'm going to get to that in just a second. But before I do, a few quick and big things. The first is that as you are listening, this is Halloween Day. Happy Halloween, everyone. And it is the last day that you can purchase the Genius Bloggers Toolkit. Sorry, I should know the name here, but you've probably been hearing about it all over the internet, in your inbox, but it's a fantastic set of resources worth over $5,000 for $97. It's an amazing bundle of products, and people have been asking me, should I buy it? Should I buy it? And I'm on the fence with bundles, so let me tell you why you might or might not want this bundle. First of all, is it worth it? Yes. I have gotten to preview and look at and start taking several of the courses. And even if you don't use all of them, which honestly, if somebody uses all of them, they're amazing because it's a lot of things. Even if you use a few things, it's absolutely worth the money in terms of that value. Why you might not want it, if you know that you are a person who tends to stockpile resources and not actually do things or follow through, if you know you don't have time right now, if you know that your budget for education and kind of growth in that way is spent, then don't spend it. If you know you're not going to use it, don't buy it. If the courses included in the books are not things that you want to learn about, don't buy it, okay? I'm the person who loves a good deal, so sometimes I'm swayed by that, but it's not a good deal if you're not going to use it. Yes, it is worth the money. However, if you're not going to use it, it's not worth the money to you. So I hope that helps. And if you're interested, I'm an affiliate for the program. And again, I really do stand behind it. One of my courses, the Foundation series, is in there. So if you want to learn more, you can go to createifwriting.com/bundle. And again, on November 1st, I think the sale ends. And so you want to make sure you do this quickly to check out all the resources included to decide if this is something for you. One more paid thing, and it's weird that I'm doing two paid things together, but I am currently in the beta launch for my membership site, the Create If Writing community. And I am so excited. It's been really fun to see people trickling in. I'm still having tech issues, as in my credit cards are not working right now. Not my credit cards, but the credit card option to pay is not working. Only PayPal. If you email me and you want to get in on the beta, because it is a limited time offer, then just shoot me an email and I'll put you on the list. But I have tech people working it out. There's nothing I can do until they do their magic, because it's nothing that is anything I have control over. It has to do with all kinds of buggy, weird things I don't understand. So I'm waiting on customer service for a few different various groups to get their acts together and make things work out. I cannot do this. But if you are interested and you want to hear, read, and watch a video about what the community membership is going to be about, which again, I'm so pumped about it. It's, in short, it's going to be a membership that offers you access to all of my training videos, all of my courses now and future, private membership group. And also my goal is to help the group in their individual ways move from their point A to point B. So I have actually 6-month sort of strategies that I've got set out. And for people who are interested, you don't have to take part if you're in the membership. You can just enjoy the group, enjoy the trainings. But if you have a product you want to launch or a book you want to launch, we're going to do every year, 2 kind of periods of launch mode where we go from the planning to the building, to the pre-launch, to the launch, to the nurturing, to the reflecting on how it worked, and start back over with the planning. And I have a whole guide for this. And so really, it's going to be very actionable if you know that you need a kick in the pants. If you like my style, then head over to createifwriting.com/beta to hear more. I'm going to close this up, I think by November 10th, and then it will not open again until January at the full price. And so you want to get in before that while you can. Okay, so enough talk. Let's get into, well, actually more talk, but we're going to talk now about what happens when people let you down. And I really debated on the title of this because I wanted to say something more strongly about it, maybe. But there are lots of ways when I was sitting down to think about this that people can let you down. And so let you down is maybe a better one than ruin your life or screw up your plans or break your trust, all the really negative things I had to say. So let you down kind of covers them all and is a little bit nicer perhaps than some of the other things. So the reason I kind of wanted to talk about this, I have experienced a lot of different things over the past year and a half as I started creative writing. And I've also talked with other people who have had similar experiences or who are now going through similar experiences. And the reality is when you're in this kind of business, when you're working with other people, collaborating with them, interacting with them in Facebook groups, you are going to get burned. Okay, that was actually the title I really want to use, when other people burn you. And so again, it sounds nicer when they let you down. But I just want to share a couple of the different ways that you might get burned. I shouldn't say might. You will, or you will know someone who does. So the exciting thing about being in the online world is these things probably will happen to you. And so I'll talk through them and then talk about kind of how you can deal. So here are some of the things that have happened to me in the past year or things I've seen happen to other people. I think actually almost all these have happened to me. So one of the things that might happen is somebody might steal your content. And there are various forms of this. There are scraper sites that have like bots. And again, I don't fully understand tech, so I don't know what they are, but they scrape content off your site, republish it somewhere else, and then add a bunch of ads in and try to make money off of your hard work. That happens. You also might have people who follow you who become so inspired by you that whether they mean to or not, they actually basically redo what you've already done. And it becomes kind of hard and murky to decide sometimes, is this person really taking my stuff or no? And I've had a few times where I've kind of wondered, and I usually have someone else more objective be like, I'll ask them like, hey, talk me down. Is this person, am I being paranoid here? And usually I am, but there have been a few cases where I wasn't, and things were taken word for word, repurposed by somebody else, but were literally word for word things that I had done. And I know that they saw them because, anyway, long story short, it was very clear. And so that has happened. And that's one of the things that will happen to you. You will have people steal your content, both real people and bots. It's just the reality of putting things out there on the internet. So that's one thing. You will also have people who will try to poach your people. So I see this a lot in Facebook groups. Not so much my group. My group is a little bit smaller, a little bit more intimate, and I'm pretty heavy-handed in terms of how I handle the group and posts in there. Not in a bad way. I think a good way, because I think it's good for group owners to establish guidelines. But sometimes in groups, I will see people showing up and really trying to kind of steal clients from this group of a lot of people that somebody else has worked hard to build. And that can be really, really frustrating to see people in a similar niche come and try to kind of take away your people that you have already earned as an audience. And we shouldn't be, well, I'll get to the advice, but we shouldn't be too, concerned about that because we're all so different. But it is really not a great practice when people come into a Facebook group or come onto your territory and try to steal your audience. That just sucks. Another thing that happens is that people will or may criticize you. And this happens whatever you're doing in life, okay? And you may not always know about it. You may hear about it later. Maybe it happens behind your back. Or maybe you do see it. Maybe the person doesn't realize that you're a Facebook friend and they post something about you and it's vague, but you know what it is. You know that it's you. And so you get criticized by other people for the things that you're doing. And that's always really difficult. I don't think anyone has an easy time with criticism. Sometimes people just let you down because they break your trust. They don't do the things they promised that they would do. You're relying on them, you're collaborating, and they don't show up. They don't do the work. They don't do what they promised that they would do. And that kind of leaves you hanging. And that's when I see a lot when people collaborate. And I think why so many people are reticent to collaborate with other people, because we've all been let down. And one of my favorite memes recently that I saw was, it said something like, I want all of my group members to lower me, to be my pallbearers or lower me into the casket so they can let me down one more time, which I thought was really funny. Because if you've been in a group that didn't work very well, you know what I'm talking about. So you may have the experience where you collaborate with somebody and they just don't show up, or they fail to do, or you hire them and they run off with your money, or they don't do what they say, or they deliver a product and it's terrible and you hate it. You can't figure out what to do about it. And you kind of have a battle over money. It's just difficult. And so there could be letting you down or breaking your trust in that way. And something else that happens, and I see this a lot, and I'm probably not hitting all of them, so you'll have to let me know in the comments of this episode of the show notes in what ways you've been let down. So we make sure we cover all the bases. But sometimes people just disappear, and it's the same kind of thing with collaboration, that sometimes they let you down in little ways or small ways, and sometimes you just have people that you work with or you even like personally or get along with, and they just go away suddenly and they're gone, and you're left alone and friendless. And this sounds very bleak, doesn't it? Okay, maybe a little bit dramatic. So these are some of the ways that you can be really let down by other people. And I don't know if you've experienced all of these or some of these. I think I've experienced every single one of them. And even recently I've experienced, I think 3 or 4 big ones, and it just has been really difficult. I've been plagued by tech issues, but also some people issues. I don't know which one I prefer, actually. I was going to say I prefer the tech issues, but that's hard because, like, for the credit cards on my membership site, I literally cannot fix that. Like, I am completely and utterly dependent on other people. So I guess I'm dependent on people and tech in that sense. But anyway, all around, it's difficult. It provides challenges to what it is that you're trying to accomplish and puts roadblocks up between you and your goals. But often, and here's where we're going to start moving into the advice part, often those roadblocks are mental, because the reality is this. At some point, you have to stand up and say, I'm not going to let this affect me. You may have to actually take action, especially considering the stealing content, like a scraper site. You may need to send a cease and desist kind of letter or get a lawyer involved. There's lots of different ways that you can kind of combat that. You might actually need to do something. But for some of these, and the stealing the content the same way, if it's a person, you may need to actually do something about it. But in most cases, like the cases that have happened to me where it's been either I'm a little bit paranoid, or it probably was somebody being very closely inspired, or somebody actually literally took my words and used them in their own way. They're not things I'm going to pursue legally. Okay. So for me, the roadblocks in my mind, I have to let it go, because if I'm going to sit there and obsess over all the ways that I've been hurt, over all the ways I've been wronged, and really nothing's going to change, it's just hurting me. Okay. It's not hurting the other person. It's just hurting me. It's like holding on to a grudge. It's not hurting the other person. It's only hurting you. So what you need to do in these situations, or here's some of my kind of tips, is that you need to recenter yourself. Whichever one of these you're dealing with. Again, if there's something literally you need to do, like talk to a lawyer, then you need to do that. Or get your money back, or whatever it is that you actually need to do, you need to do that. However, mentally, how you need to prepare is that you need to remember your path. You need to remember your path, what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's so important. And you need to stick with that. You need to recenter yourself in terms of what's important and let go of the things that you're not going to be able to change, and let go of sometimes even of the people. Sometimes it means you do need to let go of those relationships, because often these are not relationships necessarily with friends. And this is why a lot of people don't do business with friends, because then often they're not your friends anymore. But often in these cases, you should and can let those people go, because they are not helping you get towards that purpose and that path that you're on. So another thing is that you need to act professionally. And there was a really great live video in the Blog Elevated Facebook group that I'll try to link to in the show notes where Bobby from clumsycrafter.com talked about dealing with things professionally. And I would say to this point, you don't really want to go around bad-mouthing people. I mean, that's like, I think the main thing, honestly, because first it makes you look terrible, but also you don't know who's listening. You don't know what bridges you're burning. You don't know what's going to get back to that other person, how they're going to react. And it just brings you down to that level where they are. But I would even say, go so far as to say, don't even like vague book about it. And you guys know what I mean by vague booking, because it kind of gets everybody involved and interested in gossiping about it, even if you don't actually tell them what you were talking about ever. People start making guesses, and even that can be really unprofessional. So I think when it comes to acting professionally, you need to just back off and let it be and not bring it up, not hint about it, because again, that just gets everybody guessing, and they could be guessing the wrong thing and then blaming something that has nothing to do with anything because you are letting people know there's a problem and they're all trying to guess who it's with. Okay, so don't even be vague about it. Now, the caveat to that is sometimes you do need to have a conversation with maybe one or two people about the specific instance. And I'll give an example. So I had an issue with a person earlier in the year, and there were a few different things that happened, and I felt like I had to bring it up to this person, and the response was not what I wanted. Basically, there was just a lot of denial, and it made me feel really paranoid. It made me feel really bad for doing it because I really didn't want to bring it up, but there were so many little things that I kind of had to. So what ended up happening is just kind of some distance came between us. And so it wasn't necessarily bad blood, but it was just kind of like let's walk away a little bit. And I actually got some confirmation from someone that had no idea, but knew this other person as well. And out of the blue, she randomly messaged me and was like, hey, P.S., I would not work with this person if I were you. And that was really good to hear. And I actually had a longer conversation and said, hey, I don't want to be gossipy, but I really need to know kind of why, because I had some issues, but I'm not really sure. So can you fill me in a little bit more? And so she did. And it was, as much as it can be when you're talking about someone, it was a professional conversation, but I feel like it was really important because it let me know, okay, the thoughts I had are confirmed. Okay. Even though I felt paranoid after I talked to the person about it, I am confirmed in being a little bit more hesitant about my relationship with this person. And it doesn't mean I'm going to go blabbing. It doesn't mean I'm going to change anything. It doesn't mean I'm going to be less cordial when we run into each other. It just means that I know I'm not going to step back into a deeper relationship with this person because the thoughts that I already had were confirmed independently by somebody else. So every now and then you may need to have a kind of conversation so you can cover those bases and kind of get a sense of reality and get a sense of clarity about the situation. So you may need an extra set of eyes, but you just need to make sure that's also a person that you trust. The main thing, and this kind of circles back to the first thing I said, is that you need to find some people that you trust. And it should be kind of a small circle, right? Find some people that you can trust. And these are people, you want to find people you can work with that you can trust, but also some friends, because you're going to need people that you can go to when this kind of thing happens, not to be gossipy, but to ask for advice and support and to help recenter you, because it's not always easy to do it on your own. But you also should find, in terms of collaboration and working, some people that you trust professionally. And I do think it's really hard to work with friends because then when any of these things happen, it's a lot harder to deal with it. And friendships, again, can be lost or it can just be really awkward. And something I really loved in one of the talks that Alice Chase and her husband gave at Blog Elevated, they talked about when you're working in groups, or not really groups, so when you're collaborating with other people professionally, you need to have an exit strategy just in case. And I love that because I'm a worst case scenario person. So I really love the idea of having an exit strategy. But I think that's really important. And I think even if you're working with friends and you choose to do that, because I have done it, and sometimes I'm okay with that, and often I'm sorry later that I did that, that there should be an exit strategy in a way that allows you both to walk away if needed without losing the relationship, without being overly critical, without having some big dramatic blow up. So have an exit strategy. But the really important thing is to do your thing. Keep on your path. Remember what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, and not let all of these other things that may happen to you or that people may do or how they may let you down, not let those things interrupt your focus. And they will for a little bit, okay? And it's okay if you have to take a little bit of time to emotionally deal with whatever it is that you have to deal with. But then you need to take a step back, remember what you're doing, remember the goal, and walk towards it without being held back by other people and what they're doing, because you just can't control it. I know this is short. I feel like this is a very obvious thing, but maybe it's just what you needed to hear today because of a situation in your own life. In any case, I want to thank you for listening. I would love to hear your comments, and you can find the show notes at creativewriting.com/073. Don't forget about the Genius Bloggers Toolkit, which is only available through, I think, November 1st. You can find out more about that through my affiliate link at creativewriting.com/bundle. And if you're interested in the beta membership, that's going to be closing very soon. So you can find that at creativewriting.com/beta. I'm really thankful that you guys are listening. I'm really thankful to Jasmine Commerce of JasmineCommerceMusic.com for the music for this show. All this said, I hope you can deal with your personal relationships, your business relationships. Remember your focus. And I hope you have an inspired week.